Shabbat Shalom. Let's study Torah together. Parashat Bahalotekha. So in chapter 8 of Numbers, the Torah tells us, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe lemor, God spoke to Moses saying, Daber el Aharon, tell your brother Aaron, V'amarte elav, Bahalotekha et hanirot el mul pnei menorah ya'iru shivat hanirot. I understand this verse to be saying, when you're standing in front of the menorah, and all 7 of the branches of the menorah are there, kindle each of them, all 7 branches. There's not a day when you're just going to light the middle one, or there's not a counting off the days of the week. Light all 7. They should all give beautiful light. Different interpreters have thought about that verse a different way. If you read it, that is chapter 8, verse 2, speak to Aaron and say to him, when you kindle the lamps, toward the face of the menorah shall the 7 lamps cast light. You could possibly think about the way that the physical menorah was inclined, or that the 6 3 and 3 branches shone light on the central branch. But I take it more as the instruction about Moses telling Aaron, listen, when you're in front of the menorah, light all 7 every day. Here, Moses is instructing Aaron in what we know to be the Hadlakat HaNerot, the kindling of the menorah's lamps. And then in verse 3 comes along the verse in the Torah to say, Vaya'as Kain Aharon. That's what Aaron did. El mul pnei menorah. When he stood in front of the menorah. He'ela nerotea ka'asher tzivah Hashem et Moshe. He lit all the lamps as Moses had instructed him, as God had commanded him. So since the language was repeated, that is, El mul pnei menorah, there Aaron stood facing the menorah, I feel like this instruction, we didn't lose anything in the game of, like with a game of telephone. God instructed Moses, Moses instructed Aaron. When you're there in front of that menorah, light all 7. Aaron could have had it in his mind, let's start a different kind of ritual. Let's do something a little different. Let's light 1 light on Sunday, 2 lights on Monday. Maybe that was the beginning of the methodology that Beit Hillel used to light the Hanukkah lights. 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 upwards. But he stood in front, Vaya'as came, and Aaron did as Moses, and ultimately as God commanded. So Rashi comments that that's to tell the praise of Aaron, that in fact he didn't change the way that he received the instruction. And we know that sometimes staying true to the commandments that God gave was a wonderful credit to the person who indeed fulfills the mitzvot. Now and then, over generations, there's space to change. Maybe anchored in the way things used to be. Maybe something needed to be, in a certain sense, changed in order to serve God. The question is there a framework for judging that which needs to remain the same versus change? What are the foundational kind of principles that might suggest that we are either able to or allowed to, in a halachic sense, that we're permitted to change the tradition? In this case, God and Moses and Aaron had an instruction that they wanted to fulfill. It was a holy kindling of the lamps. All 7 of them were going to give light. Would it be wrong to decide there's going to be a different methodology by which the lights are kindled? I mean, in fact, we as Jews in modernity have an eternal lamp within our sanctuaries. We don't kindle 7-branch menorahs to continue along this mitzvah from the Torah. We've devised a way to do that. But should we allow for an installation of everyday fluorescent light fixtures in place of a beautiful Ner Tamid, in place of an eternal lamp? Should we invite Dan Flavin in, the great light artist, to create some kind of installation in the sanctuary? I mean, it might be interesting if we were to have such an artful exploration of the possibilities in the name of human creativity as it relates to the literacy we have about what it means to have a tradition of lighting lights. But perhaps there's a certain amount of limitation on our creativity when it comes to ritual and when it comes to, let's say, in this case, the kindling of lights. So I leave you with those questions. What are the foundational principles that we must apply when we consider changing a way we do a ritual and bringing our own creativity to the way Jewish rituals are performed within our sanctuaries, within our synagogues, and within our homes? Shabbat Shalom.